What is it like being a Jamaican in Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today in Jamaicans to the World, I talk to Chris Daley and Joelle Wright, Jamaicans who are living in Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area. Hello, everyone. How are you doing, Chris? How are you doing, Joelle?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, Xavier.
It's great to be here. And you know what came to mind? The last time you were here in DC, we all three got together. Remember at Jerk Pit?
Yes.
Yes.
That memorable day.
Yes. So, folks, let me clear this up from the beginning. Joelle, aka Wendy, I know her as Wendy. Now, you all know how this nickname thing go, right? When I didn't know when I discovered Joelle, it's a new person I met, because we as Jamaicans sometimes we never know our relatives or friends. We just know them by the nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did you get the Wendy nickname?
Listen to me now. This has been the bane of my existence. So when I was born, my dad insisted that he wanted to call me Wendy, because him did like the story named Wendy the Frog when he did little bit. Can you imagine him try to name me after one bullfrog? And anyway, but my grandmother wanted Joelle. I was born near Christmas, so she wanted this Christmassy type of name. But my dad insisted that Joelle is a boy's name, and you can't name the girl child Joelle. Long story short, the women win. My grandmother won. She called me Joelle. They did spell my name wrong, Joel, which is a boy's name. They had to go back and add the LLE. But Dad insisted, you know what? I'm not calling her by that name. I'm calling her Wendy, and it stuck. So in the long run, he won because everybody called me Wendy from a baby. So yeah, that's the whole thing. He has never called me Joelle in his entire life. He hates that name.
So Chris, you have any nicknames there, or Chris is the true name?
Chris is a true name. I have
You're
other
not a real
names
Jamaican.
I don't care to say what I earned in high school.
You know, name Christopher. Normally, Chris name Christopher.
Yeah, my full name is Christopher. But
okay,
if I hear that, I know I'm in trouble.
All right, so let's dive right in. Let's start out. Which part of Jamaica, Wendy? I'm going to start with Wendy. Which part of Jamaica are you from?
I was raised in Kingston, right there in Norman Gardens, right around the Mountain View area. So that's all where, right. Yeah.
Chris?
I was born in Kingston, but actually grew up in St. Catherine, a little town north of Spanish Town called Kitsentown.
Oh, 8 miles north. Yeah. That's where my peeps are from.
Wow, this is good.
Well, that Linstead, around that era. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. So, Wendy, which school are you representing?
Representing 2 schools, actually. Lord have mercy. So I started off at Queens in Kingston, big up Queens. And then my parents were migrating to the US. So I was like, no, I don't want to come to the US. No, I'm not into the US right now. I want to finish my high school in Jamaica. So they had to board me out. So that's when I ended up at Knox High in Clarendon. So I boarded in Knox. Yeah, so I'm a Knoxite. I graduated in the 80s. I'm not going to mention 80 what.
Yeah, don't mention. Is there a teacher at any other schools that really influenced you a lot?
What a good question. Because I know we're going to get into discussion about me writing books. When people ask me my favorite subject in school, I said English, and they look at me like, English? Nobody ever says that. But my English teacher completely influenced me. I ended up writing books, and I keep on reflecting on that teacher, the way how she conducted that class. She really had us stretch our imagination, and she got me involved with creative aspect of writing, not just writing English for grammar, right? It was just how to be creative, stretch your thought. She used to have us writing like personify a book or a country bus, make the bus talk and all that stuff. And I was like, this woman mad enough, bus not talk. But it was just for us to be creative. And me always I get my things, I'm all poems read out in the class. And
Do
to
you
this
remember?
day, as I use, her name is Miss Dennett at Knox.
Big up Miss Dennett.
Stennett.
So we big up Miss Dennett. Stennett, sorry.
Yes, Stennett.
And if our relatives are watching, please let her know she got a big up.
Yes.
So Chris, which school are you representing, and is there a teacher that you remember?
For sure. I'm a Jaguite. St. Jago all the way. And the teacher that was most influential for me was Mr. Xavier, my physics teacher. The light bulb went on to my head that I'd want to do engineering under his physics class. I even remember what we're doing. We're studying electricity, and we had this copper wire. Remember when we didn't have breakers like we had now, or even more? We had these coils of wire, and actually I was so excited. I stole a piece of the copper, took it home, and was experimenting at home. The gauge of the wire was so thin.
Wait.
The light went out in the evening.
Your teeth electricity, Chris.
A long time in my teeth light.
Let me go home and experiment. That was my homework. I made my own homework by taking this thin gauge wire and let me go switch out and see how it works. The wire was just too thin. And so in the middle of the night, it burnt out and I was in trouble in a lot of ways.
Wait. So you almost get shocked.
Exactly. But the light
almost burned down.
My head.
Don't tell me you almost burned down the house. Don't tell me you almost burned down the house, Chris.
I didn't just do it for our house. I did it for a neighbor's house. So a lot of people were upset.
That's actually smart. Burn down somebody else's house.
Let's not get deep into this because we don't want the neighbor and we don't want to reveal anything because you know Jamaican parents, they will try and beat you at this age for something you do from 50 odd years ago, 60 odd years ago.
Right.
All right. So Wendy, tell us about your journey to the United States. What was that like? The culture shock, and how did you get to Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area? And folks, I'm piling those two areas, putting those two areas together because a tri-state area, and they'll talk about it. So talk to us about the journey to the United States, the culture shock itself, and also get, Maryland, Washington, D.C., how you moved.
Right. Here. So as I told you, I ended up at Knox because I didn't want to come to the United States. So after high school, I enrolled in community college. I said community college. I was insisting on either writing because I love to write. So I was going to write for the Gleaner or get myself in theater arts. So I enrolled in school for that. But my parents said, nah, you come America, come study, blah, 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 blah. So of course, as a matter of fact, I laugh at my passport picture. I had the longest mouth in the passport picture because I do not want to go to this cold country. Anyway, so you're a minor, so you have to listen to your parents. I came here with the hopes of studying, finishing school, and going back home. That was my wish. But when you have the student loan, then you say, Lord God, I have to stay some work and pay it off. But I came here in 1989. Seemed like a lot of my friends came in 1989. I was like, there's a mass exodus from Jamaica in 1989. And the reason why I ended up in Maryland is because my guardian who was raising me, she got a scholarship for school here. So she just took up residence here. And that's pretty much how I ended up here. And I'm really grateful. And yes, Maryland, nobody says Maryland. They just call the three areas, Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, as D.C. And so when I go to Jamaica and they ask me where I am, I said, Maryland, they go, is that near Baltimore? We're not there. Like, well, Baltimore is in Maryland. So they don't know Maryland. So yeah, I remember in 2003, we had a serial killer around here. And them call him the D.C. sniper. He only killed one person in DC. Everybody else was being killed in Maryland, so they call us DC. So yeah, no one hears about this Maryland. They just hear DC. But
all right,
yeah, it's for the.
It's just
the culture shock. The culture shock. Patrol. You could not convince me that Patrol was in America. Another one. When you watch JBC, you always see snow on Christmas time, right? You see Santa ring the bell and the snowfall. So the first snow event for me was November in 1989. So wait a minute. It's not December yet. What is going on? So I never think it's a snowfall. I know. What is that white thing with? So yeah, stupid me just thought that snowfall only December. So yeah, those are the two things. Yeah.
Chris, talk to us. Your journey to the United States. What was the culture shock, and how did you end up in the DC, Maryland area?
My mom had moved here, and we lived with my aunt back in Jamaica for many years. And after fifth form, she said she wanted me to come into college. And so I remember me and my brother dressed in cowboy suits and up here at the airport. We still have those pictures, so we hide them now.
Oh,
cowboy suits at the airport. You dress up when you travel, kind of deal.
You think you're not going to Texas?
Exactly. So we landed.
Did you have a hat on?
I had on blue. He had on pink.
Pink wasn't fashionable for men back then.
No, never. So, we ended up here in DC. The two things that hit me right away was we lived in DC, and across the road from us was a funeral home. And every night I see this bright, neon sign funeral home, and I'm not used to that, right? So I have to look at this thing if I look to my window every night. The other thing was sports. American football is something that was a shock to me. I said, what's this?
Football with them, man.
Yeah, they're not even kicking it. They're here throwing it.
Yes.
But it didn't take long for me to really adopt that as my favorite sport.
Yeah.
Wow. So, the Redskins at the time were, on the ascendancy.
Yes.
And so that made it, it does change the entire culture. When you went to school, people talk about it. So, you got used to it.
All right.
Yes.
So, let me say this about, both of you all. I know you're well involved in the community. Chris, I know there's a lot of things that you do. You sit on probably quite a few boards there. Tell us a little bit about your involvement in the Jamaican Caribbean community. And then, Wendy, I'm going to jump in next to you. You know where I'm going to start, Wendy, but let's start with Chris.
Yeah, there are a couple of boards that I like sitting on. One is the Independence Worship Committee program that plans the ecumenical worship program. It's more like a 6-month thing. We start in say January, February, and it culminates in July, August. You get to really do a lot. You have to raise money for the event. You have to get speakers and the like to plan the program and have. So
let me say this for the people who don't hear the word, the big word, whatever service, right?
Ecumenical.
It is the Jamaican Independence Service in the Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
Area. All right.
Chris talk like a physician.
Exactly.
Please continue, sir.
That's a big deal because the community gets together for one day. We worship and we have a meal together and we get to greet each other. If it's just for once a year, that's a big deal. So to work with somebody like that, he's Dr. Basil Buchanan's been doing this thing for 44 years.
Wow.
And so it's been a pleasure just working on a team like that under his leadership. So I really enjoy that. I also work with, Claire and ICS.
Yes, Dr. Claire Nelson. And so many accolades we could say about this lady. Instrumental in getting the legislation and whatever it was. I don't know if it was legislation or the proclamation of Caribbean American Heritage Month. And I know you work closely with her, Chris.
Yeah, so she does a lot of stuff. You know, there are two big months. The first is June for Caribbean American Heritage Month that, you know, she got to be a federally passed recognition through Congress and signed by President Bush, you know, in 2005. And since then, it's been a great week. So around the country, different groups celebrate and organize and do, and then it ends up the last week of June as Legislative Week here in Washington, D.C., where you can go meet your congressman and actually lobby on the Hill. So that's been a really fascinating thing to see, the amount of, you get to meet Jamaicans across the country then,
right, and
to see what's happening, develop friendships, and you find out what's happening in Boston or in LA or wherever. You know, it's those two are the ones that I think I spend a lot of time with.
So I'm going to jump over. Wendy, tell us now, you're involved in the community. Tell us about your journey. She has written 3 books. So, Four, sorry. Oh, my bad.
That be saying I'm the last one.
4 books. She's involved in culture. We go way back from the Jamaicans.com bulletin board and so forth. Tell us about your involvement in the community and your books.
Let me tell you something. I'm blessed because I have had no clue this is where I was going to end up when I started writing my first Jamaican comedy sketch. I think it was 1999. I was bored at work. Just left college, bored, and just started writing comedy. And that led me eventually to Jamaicans.com. And I continued to do the comedy sketch thing. I was a moderator for a forum. And in that forum, I used to just put together some storytelling in patois. And it became such a huge hit that the demand for it, they wanted it every month. And by the way, I had a job and I didn't realize how much work it took for me to compile that story. But nevertheless, it was hilarious comedy, right? Those persons on the site, including you, Xavier, were telling me, you know, it's time for you to write books because this would make good comedy for reading. I actually had one person on the site send me a book. So it was about 400-page book on how to publish myself. And I put the book aside because I was like, I'm not interested in that. I'm just going to write my comedy just for, you know, internet consumption and people laugh and so forth. Long story short, one of those sketches that I wrote went viral. Now, back then there was no social media. We didn't have any Facebook and stuff. So things that went viral was always through email. But now in 2009, there was social media and one of my sketches went viral. It was all over the internet. That's when people like Xavier call me up and give me the tongue lashing. Like, if you don't start writing this book and I'm going to introduce it to these people. So yeah, the drum beat got louder. So I ended up taking it serious and ended up picking up that same book that person sent from Jamaicans.com, read it religiously, studied how to publish myself, and published my first book in 2010. Now, the first book was, so we do it. So I was thinking this would be mission accomplished. Xavier can come out from a back now because we write a book. But no, that didn't happen. After the people them done read the book, I'm like, when you come up with the next one? So I had to come up with the next one. So it's now I saw it go. I know I can't read it from here, but
no, I can't read it.
Then I saw it go, right? So I figured, okay, why not continue? So I wrote, I saw them go on. And as you can see, the books, them have their own like a pretty color. Jamaicans love pretty. All right, so I was done. And then Facebook folks started to trash me online, saying that my work list them need another book. Come off of the forum right again. So 2 years later, I came up with A So Life Go. So I have 4 books. So again, it's So We Do It, So It Go, So Them Go On, and A So Life Go. These books have
and we can get all of these books on Amazon.
Yeah, so here's the thing, no. Amazon and me not working right now. No. They're on Amazon, but I don't know what it is, but Amazon is jacking up the prices of the book. Ridiculous jack up. I mean, these books are like $13, $15, and on Amazon, sometimes I'm seeing them selling them for $27. I have no idea what's going on there. I'm not the one doing that.
Demand.
So I would
demand.
Yeah, must be, but I think that's a buzz killer though. Nobody
could be actually buying your book and reselling it too. And
I don't know, but I am the one that, as the publisher, that actually price the book. So I do not know, and there's nobody to talk to on Amazon. So what I would suggest, my name is on the screen, Joelle Cohen, right? You just plug that into Google and it will take you to my official website where you can get the books at a lower cost and you can get them signed from me and I'll ship them. You won't get them prime, but you'll get them. If you are here listening to me from Jamaica, they're all over Kingston and Spanish Town through Sangster's bookstore. So yeah, that was another thing that I was pleasantly surprised when Sangster's said, you know what, we have to carry this book. The reason why Sangsters jumped on these books is because, according to them, there's no storytelling books in Jamaica in patois. You have poetry in patois, but actually telling stories with Jamaicans in rich patois. They said that we don't have any books like that. So this is so unique that they were like, we're jumping on this one. Yeah,
listen. Yeah. I applaud you. You know, the first one, if nobody remembers this, the one that went viral, I believe, was Rapunzel. Was that the one?
In 2009, it was the airport, the American Airlines crash.
Oh,
so remember when American Airlines crashed and I took Board Lane TV to the scene.
Yes.
And they were interviewing the people coming off of the airline. That was the one.
Rapunzel was the one, I think, that kind of got out there with email and so forth. That when Rapunzel in Jamaican, again, some of you folks who are dated like me, old man like me, may remember some of those. All right. Yeah. We're gonna jump in. So get the book. Wendy, I know whenever the phone rang back in those days and you saw my number on there, you would say, I am scared Xavier is calling me to do something. So
I call you the manager that I didn't hire. You're like my manager that I didn't hire.
So let's talk a little bit more about Washington, D.C. and the Maryland area. Cost of living. What's the cost of living like in the area? I'm going to start with you, Chris.
Well, I moved back to DC 19 years ago from Pennsylvania. And actually, the cost of living was like twice as high. So it's a place that you have to get
twice as high as Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I lived in a small town in Pennsylvania. And, I did my research before I moved and said, yikes. So you really need to do your planning, but it's worth it. The richness of the place makes it a livable place. You won't see me trying to go be in a snowbird. Regardless how climate change is making it that it's okay, even in the winter time.
Yes, it's true.
So, when's the last time it snowed here, right?
I can't remember. Yeah,
exactly.
So Chris, how do you make the decision to say I'm moving from somewhere where the cost of living is half what it's going to be here? Was the salary doubled when you moved there?
No, it actually was motivated without a job. It was the turn of the century and the internet bust had taken place, and I'd worked in Technologies at the time. we were building all of this equipment, for folks. And I was designing microchips, actually marketing microchips at the time for Lucent. And Lucent went bust. A lot of companies went bust. And so we start losing contracts. And after 3 years, it got to me to say, gee, we can't use you anymore. So I stayed out of work for about a year. And then I said, boy, I had kids starting to say, pay for college. So I had to move to Washington. I had family here. My brother lived there. So that was made it, having family in the area really makes the transition good. Right. So he and his family helped us make that transition here to DC as well. And that's fine.
Yeah, Chris make a good point. That's the thing. It sounds, the cost of living, but the job market here, we're think about it. We're in the center of government. The government is the largest employer in our area. There's not a single government agency that's not near us, right? And government I'm not saying that everybody works for the government, but a lot of people work for the government, state and local. So we're not impacted by recession. Even during the pandemic, everybody still had their job. If you were working in the government or whatever, it's pretty stable employment. The employment rate is always low here because, again, where we are, whether it's government or tech, so those two things. As a matter of fact, that's why I decided to study information technology because of the area. I wanted to write, but I moved in the area and my research told me that this is a tech area. But yeah, the cost of living. And the other thing too, the cost of living is because the affluence. If you look on Google, their PG County or Maryland is known to have the most affluent Black people. Not me though, but we're paying the price for politicians living here, athletes living here. Michael Steele, for example, the former RNC chair for the Republican Party. He's 15 minutes away from here. So there's a lot of affluence around here. So that's why everything. So
you live near, you're not affluent, but you live near affluence.
Well, affluent people, and then we are paying the price. Yeah. But yes.
Well, if you look around at what we call the DMV, the 5 in the top 10 richest counties in the country, 5 of them are around the DMV. Because
a lot of lawyers and doctors are here, and like I said, politicians, government workers,
contractors. You have contractors, defense contractors.
Yes,
biotech is a big issue here also. So right around the beltway, as it's called, to kind of define it, it's very recession proof.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on up.
Yes, I've actually moved some friends from other states, and they're like, "Oh, I have a better living here," even though cost of it's a job market. Yeah.
All right. So, jumping into food. So, are you getting all your Jamaican food there? I know there's jerk pit, which we went to, but are you getting your you can go pick up a piece of yellow yam here, or you can go get some ackee or some callaloo. I'm talking the raw product to go cook, or all of that. Talk to me about it. Yes, no, mix.
I wouldn't say the raw product like callaloo. It's we live by the tin around here, but you can you can get them, right? You can get them. Chris, I don't know if you know of any place that sells a raw callaloo and raw.
I don't need to buy it. I go to my cousin's backyard. Okay.
Okay.
He farms stuff in the summertime. So.
Right. Yeah, but we live by the tin, but we can get them here. Yeah, we definitely can get Jamaican food here, and there's a lot of Jamaicans here. Yeah. It's a lot of Jamaicans.
So the Caribbean market is a very and a lot of other markets. It comes out to New York. It's a good retail center for that. So. You'll see you go there on a Friday and a Saturday or a Thursday, and it's pretty, the traffic there is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I got guinep, which is my favorite fruit, about 3 weeks ago there.
Okay. So there's a Caribbean market on a is it like a open door thing, or is it just a location?
It's an enclosed thing, but it's been there for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is, you talked about the Jamaican Independence Service. What is the next big Caribbean Jamaican type event that happens in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area?
We have the Jerk Festival, which is probably a lot of states have Jerk Festival. So we have it here too. I haven't seen it in a long time. The pandemic kind of slowed that down a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But the Jerk Festival. Then you have a
Yeah,
carnival.
I heard the festival the last one was so packed.
Yeah.
They needed. I think there was discussions of a bigger location. Because it was so huge. But sorry,
I did some MC work for them one year. It was really good.
I remember you were there the first year, right downtown near the White House in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue. That's like 14th and Pennsylvania. Yeah. It was and I remember you doing that MC there.
Yes. And then you have, I think Baltimore has a little bit of a carnival. There's a Baltimore carnival. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chris, any other events you want to add? I know you spoke about the Caribbean legislative the week when they can meet folks, June. Anything else?
Well, a lot of alumni from high schools in Jamaica have these dances, and fundraisers. So
and
we
Jamaican
have the
National Association,
the white dress ball, and all of those are good get-togethers for people to support their high schools back home.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you also have the Jamaican National Association here, JNA. And they have Christmas dinners for fundraising.
I couldn't even forget that. She hosted the last one.
I know, I hosted the last one.
This was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
So it seems like there's a lot of activities there keeping the Jamaican and Caribbean community together.
Oh, definitely.
How have you, Chris, you've been there, both of you have been there for quite a while. How have you seen that community grow? And how has their influence grown through the years that you have been there? I know, Wendy, you have moved some people there. You said, Chris, you have seen the government side of it and influence. Talk to me a little bit of what you have seen in the community, the Jamaican/Caribbean community there in the area. I'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah, I see it in two ways. First, within the professional settings, I see, like in my workplace, now we have groups forming at work. Even during the pandemic, we're doing stuff online to get people doing, and we combine with other Caribbean islands, with folks from Haiti, folks from Barbados, folks from Trinidad, Guyana, in principle, and some of the smaller islands. But that's been a really rich work experience also. And now we see other departments, part of the federal government, other groups actually forming and actually networking with us. So from a professional center, we've actually started to develop networks like that, this is the way you're going to survive. You have to have, vibrant networks. So that's been really good from that perspective.
Wendy, what have you seen in terms of the growth, in terms of the influence of the Caribbean community, the Jamaican community there in the area?
Well, I endorse what Chris said from the professional side. And then the other thing too, even in our events that we just spoke about, you see non-Caribbean folks that are embracing our culture and learning about the culture through these events. So from that point of view, there's a broader acceptance for those that are non-Caribbean, especially the Jerk Festival. They're always there to get the food, listen to some good old reggae. So you get to see other parts of the community that are not necessarily Caribbean folks that come and enjoy and embrace the Caribbean culture without having to take a plane.
All right.
Yeah, well, I saw on Friday, actually, I was visiting with my son-in-law. He was here fixing my car. So we went out he said, what's Jamaica? This is in Frederick, which is in a county outside of D.C.,
right.
About 40 miles outside of D.C. And there was this new Jamaican restaurant. So we're going to go there and have lunch. You know what they had on the menu?
Yes, I was about to say that.
Yeah, Cersei.
Yeah.
They were trying to make Cersei as a thing.
Yeah,
A
we
Cersei
went
drink.
to a restaurant. Don't mean to call it. It's called
Yeah.
Aroma, and it's African owned. 99% of the African owned restaurants here is beer, oxtail, and curry goat.
And Andy's too.
Yeah,
I
a
still
lot
love
of
it,
their
Madam.
menu is Jamaican.
Wow. Wow. So visiting DC, if I visited before, but if I was to visit DC, what would be the two places or things or events or whatever you say you got to see these two? And I'm going to start with you, Wendy. What would be the two places or maybe even an event, as I said, that you'd say if you come to the DC area, you must go do these two things?
Yes. All right. So this is another thing that I love about this area. Our museums are free in DC.
Yeah.
I think I was in Pennsylvania. Even the zoo. The zoo is free. I went to a zoo in Pennsylvania. They talk about $36. I said, for what? This is a zoo. I am so used to just walking up in the zoo here for free. Our museums are free. The one that is our latest is the African American Museum. Now,
Endorse it.
you
Endorse
have
it fully.
to be there.
Endorse
Man,
it fully.
whoever came up with that museum, especially seeing Jamaica being a part of that museum, we have our own section with Bob Marley and Usain Bolt and Old Town, Spanish Town and Kings. Oh, I love it. But the thing with the African American Museum, it cannot be done in one day. So if you're here for a week, you may need to do two days and come back again because it's so huge, so much to take in. I am here, I've done it twice, and I still need to go back. There's more and more things to look at. So yes, the African American Museum
fully endorsed. I went, I could not finish. I mean, I ran through it, but it wasn't completely done.
Yeah, you can't finish it in one day. Yeah,
let me warn you folks who are thinking of visiting Washington, D.C. to do this. You have to reserve your tickets from way months ahead because it is sold out. No,
it's popular.
It's the most popular museum in DC.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to give you a little secret though. You can walk up, but make sure your accent sound like you're Jamaican and tell them say you come from Jamaica.
Yes. And that come from far.
That is what even though I had a reservation, I only had 2 hours. They only gave me a 2-hour window. So I got there early and I said, listen, I'm from Jamaica. I'm going to throw down the accent. And them say, okay, we're going to let you in early. All right. Anyway, sorry, Wendy. Finish.
No, that's good. That's good. Yes, it's a must see. And then Maryland is known for crabs. And we're not talking about Alice crabs, right? We're talking about real crabs here, sanitized crabs. So I think going across the Bay Bridge in the Annapolis area, Annapolis is our capital. You can go and have some great seafood, crabs and whatever seafood you like, if you like. So yeah, we're not very good with beaches here, to be honest. Right. Everybody go Ocean City just for the boardwalk, but yeah, going across the Bay Bridge to have some nice seafood is a good thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Chris, which two?
Well, I actually each week, if I don't get to the National Mall, it's a week that I haven't lived well. Yes. I go there because I like the museums, as Wendy said, they're free. But they also have gardens around there. So if I really want it on a Sunday afternoon, I'll go and I'll just buy from one of the food trucks a meal and go into one of these gardens and just relax. It's my sanctuary. So enjoying the entire walk from where the Capitol is down to Lincoln. It's also a place I walk. So I get my exercise, I get my soul nurturing from being on the National Mall. So I've taken a lot of people there just to enjoy that stuff. So there's the different kind of museums you can get to. But as I said, it's the African American Museum is must have. There's also African museum that a lot of
Yes.
people are not aware of, and the Asian museum that are actually tied together that has a lot of good treasures. The National Gallery has lots of different exhibits that it has actually one, it had a Jamaican color in it. That's the other place I have to say that says it was a special white. They call it Jamaican white. That you find in that.
And speaking of treasures, we have the Library of Congress here as well.
Yes.
And all of my books are in the Library of Congress. Yay! They are there as exhibits, of course.
Well, the other way to get around is actually the metro. I use the metro a lot. It's a lot of places that have something like the metro. It's cheap and it's very efficient to get around the traffic of DC.
Yes, and it's very clean.
There's so much to see. I just touched the tip when I went there, and I need to come back and visit some of these places. So much to see.
So much.
So, listen, Chris, Wendy, I appreciate you guys taking time out, telling us your story, telling us about, your city, where you live. I have a scenario for you. And it is this scenario. You get on a plane, you land in Jamaica, whether it be Montego Bay or Kingston, you get off the plane. What is that? And you get out of the airport. What is that first thing you're eating, you're going, or the place you're going to, or the person you're seeing? What is that first thing that you're doing once you get out the airport? Wendy's ready to go. So let's go, Wendy.
This is so easy for me to answer because it's tradition. Every time I land in Mobay is where I go because I fly Southwest. We drive down, the highway thing, and we at this spot. Lord, I can't believe I don't remember the name of the spot because we go there all the time. And it's festival and some jerk chicken with some cream soda, some pineapple soda for wash that down. Yes. Okay.
So you're making the right or the left of the airport?
So it's away from the airport. So we're
but when you get to the roundabout, you're making the left or the right. And I can't kind of figure out.
Listen to me now, I'm here driving over.
Okay, all right. So you don't remember the name of the place then, but you're getting the jerk. You're getting the jerk on your festival.
The jerk and the festival. May I tell you, man, that place is a bomb.
Chris, what's that?
Once she has that, I'm gonna go for jelly coconut. Okay, I'm gonna find the first place along the road that has some jelly coconut. That's what I'd like to have.
Wash off the heart.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So winding down, if there's one piece of advice you would give to anyone that is thinking of moving to the DC area, what would that piece of advice be? Start with you, Chris.
Well, I said treasure the people who have been the pioneers that have been here before us. One person comes to mind is Donald Morgan. This man has in his yard a simulated building of Jamaica. It's called Jamaica in the USA. He's 94 years old. And this past summer, he was sick and he said, look, I may not be around. He wanted to actually make a t-shirt to kind of emblematize what he's doing. He said that t-shirt is not doing it. So I actually built him a website. It's called JamaicaInTheUSA.com that tells the story of what he's done, he and his wife has done over the years. And I so admire people like that. He is a lion in winter. And so when we respect and honor people like that, I think the legacy of and the continuity, the generational continuity of what it is to be a Jamaican in the DMV will continue.
All right. Awesome. Wendy?
What would I advise? Okay, so it's not like I haven't done this before. I've like I spoke to friends that are moving from other state. The first thing I always tell them, because they're always talking about winter and snow and cold. Nah, not the DC area. We get a little cold, a little chill here and there, but we're not a snowy state. So don't be worried about, harsh winter and all that stuff. And like I said, climate change, can't tell the last time it's snow down here. So don't worry about the climate being as cold. Yeah, you may have to put on a jacket here and there, but that's okay. And it's a progressive state, very environmentally friendly as well. People can't tear down trees here without permission. I mean, if I have to cut a tree in my yard, I have to get permission. Very very lush green. So open space. Housing here is an abundance but expensive. The amount of houses that they build here, every time I see them open here, I'm like, okay, one new mall come for me shop. When we look at some house them a build, I'm like, listen to me, man. But it's because of the influx of people coming to the area. You know, they always have to be building houses. So those are things that you should keep in mind. It's a very progressive state. A lot of professional Black folks here. You're looking at two on your screen right now. So it's a great environment. I love it here. I love it here.
All right. Well, guys, thank you. Thank you again for telling us your story. And, you know, we could go on. We go way back. We could go on. I have to catch up with y'all when I come back to Washington.
We look forward to taking it to the African American Museum, right? Let's make it a date.
Oh, I have to go back. I have to go back. Definitely. So, guys, thanks again. And, you know, typically I say, how do they greet people or say goodbye? But this is the United States. It's goodbye. So we're going to the Jamaican style. Lick more, guys.
Lick more.
Lick more.
Walk good.
Walk good. All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Chris.
Show some love now. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. And hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.